Local programming on KRWG made possible in part by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to Fronteras, a Changing America. I'm Edmundo Resendez. Today on Fronteras, we will be discussing the services of La Piñon. La Piñon is the only full-service sexual assault response agency in southern New Mexico, providing comprehensive sexual assault recovery services for sexual abuse victims and their families. Located in Las Cruces and serving Doña Ana County, La Piñon also provides services in Truth or Consequences, Deming, Lordsburg, and all areas of southern and northern Doña Ana County. My guest is Linda Quintana-Armijo, the Southern Crisis Coordinator for La Piñon Sexual Assault Recovery Services of Southern New Mexico. Linda, welcome to Fronteras and Changing America. You know, La Piñon was founded in 1992 with the philosophy of working with someone who has been sexually assaulted to take steps to regain control of their life and make the transition from victim to survivor. How do you go about doing that?
The way we go about doing it is once we receive a call from a client or a survivor, they initiate that contact that they would like to step forward in their recovery, and we help by having an array of services from counseling to crisis intervention at the time of the assault, and then we also help their family along with them.
Okay. La Piñon is the only full-service sexual assault response agency in southern New Mexico, and you have grown now to reach all areas of southern and northern Doña Ana County. What is your role with the agency?
My role with the agency is the Southern Crisis Coordinator. So what I do initially is I work everything in southern Doña Ana County, Mezquite, San Miguel, Chaparral, Anthony, Santa Teresa, Sunland Park, everything, all the little colonias in between. We work with agencies and schools so they know we're out there in down south, and we have also satellite offices. We have one in Anthony within the La Casa non-residential domestic violence shelter unit in Anthony. We have one in Chaparral within the DASO substation in Chaparral, and in Sunland Park within the Sunland Park Police Department. So myself and another coordinator go out and do a lot of footwork, letting the agencies know we are there, that they can refer clients. A lot of the times they see clients with a lot of other issues, and the main underlying issue is sexual assault. So they may have seen a client with domestic violence, a client with substance abuse problems, or just a recent juvenile who has a lot of problems in school. So the counselors will reach out to us and say, I think this may be happening, and we will always tell them to make sure and report, because by law it's ours and there's responsibility to report if it is a child. Once, if and when it is reported or it has been reported, we can also make contact with the family, see if they would like services from our agency, and meet with them at one of our satellite offices. So that really helps them in not having to come all the way to Las Cruces, or sometimes they don't have any transportation issues. So getting a ride to one of the satellite offices within their community is easier than coming over here. And we can do counseling intakes, make outside referrals if maybe they are not ready for counseling for the sexual assault, and that's okay. That's okay. We really don't push them, because when a person is ready to get counseling, they will say. If you push them, they will be resistant and hesitant, and that will bring up a whole lot of other issues for them.
What are some of the challenges that you face in the southern part of the county, where you have some of the colonias, where you have some language barriers? What are some of the other challenges that you face down in the colonias?
Along with transportation, a lot of some of the community is very resistant to report, because it may have been a family member, so they feel like if it is going against their family. So we try and explain to them that usually, statistically, it is someone that the victim knows, because the offenders know very well how to manipulate their surroundings and use the child's trust in them as, for example, if it was an uncle and aunt, they know how to use that against them, or even a friend. That's how they use against children. Even with adults, the trust that they have with them, they use a lot of. If our clients are non-residents, they will use their non-residency against them. If you go to the police, they will deport you, they will take you away, and you'll never see your children again. So as long as this can continue, you will be fine. So they use their what's going on in their lives against them. We also have a lot of clients that are not willing to report because, let's say, for example, they just came from Mexico and they aren't very comfortable with the officials, with the police department. So that's why we work very well with all agencies of the police. So not only in Southern Doñana County, but everywhere within our agency. So they know that just because they are not a citizen or they are a resident, that they will have the services the same way as if they were a citizen or a legal U.S. citizen. So they will get the services that they need.
What kind of services or outreach do you provide to reach out into these communities to let them know that, you know, La Piñon is there to help, so that they can be comfortable in reporting, you know, some of these assaults that may be occurring in their family? Because, you know, suffering in silence is really very traumatizing for anybody that has got to go through this.
Yes, sir. And within the Southern community, I've seen a lot of, and you see it everywhere, but since I've been mainly there, I have seen a lot of clients come forward after 30 years, after 15 years, where they finally feel comfortable. Within our agency, we have a prevention education department that goes out into the community and does presentations and to schools, to churches, to anywhere and everywhere that they are invited to, on how to handle disclosures, what to do when someone discloses to you, how to talk to your children about their private parts. And a lot of parents sometimes really freak out about this, and that's okay, because unlike us, we work with it every day, and we go and we explain to people how to talk to your children about their private parts, their mouth, their chest, their lower front, and their lower back. And we've gotten questions on when is the best time to start. And we say as soon as you feel comfortable, as soon as they can talk initially, because they're listening to everything that you're saying. So as long as they know that no one has the right to make them feel uncomfortable, and they can come to you and they have boundaries, they will come. So they do prevention education in the schools. They talk to the teachers on their duty to report, how to make a report. On our agency services with the crisis intervention, we have a 24-hour crisis line that is manned by staff and advocates. And whatever comes in day or night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, someone will always answer the phone. And if this person decides that they're barely ready to talk about their sexual assault and just have somebody on the phone to listen to them, or if it is a recent sexual assault, and within protocol we have adults within 5 days and children within 3. And this is if the sexual assault has happened recently. And children within 3 days, because they heal a whole lot faster than we as adults do. And within our agency, we have a sexual assault nurse examiners unit. All of our nurses are full-time nurses, but they are contracted within us to do and trained on how to do sexual assault exams, how to do a physical examination. We provide preventative STI, STD medication, preventative pregnancy medication, and follow-up services. Our advocates do go out to the scene. The scene, I mean the hospital. If they show up to Mountain View, to Memorial, or let's say down south, they show up to University Medical Center. If they know that it's with us, they will contact us, and we will try and get them to come over here to Las Cruces, or if they can if they're ready to do the sexual assault, because sometimes they go to the hospitals and they just want to know if they're okay. And as long as they're 18 and over, they have the right to decide if they would like to report or not. Children, it's a whole other ballgame, and definitely we want to report so this doesn't continue, because usually it has happened to them before, or we don't want them to happen to them again.
Well, one of the statistics, is very high, that it's generally somebody that is known
Yes, sir.
to the victim, correct?
Yes, sir. It is a great percentage that they're known to the victim, because again, the offenders, they know how to use the trust that they have against them. For example, that's why we tell the parents that it's very, very important to talk to your children about your private parts. And a lot of them question why the mouth, and we say because it starts off very slow. It doesn't start off like in the movies that they show, that it just sometimes they are very aggressive sexual assaults, and we do see those, but we see a lot more of them having been groomed. They will slowly start, let me have a kiss. If you don't give me a kiss, I'm gonna go tell your mom that you didn't give me a kiss. And we give examples on when we go into our home to, say for Thanksgiving, everybody wants to see your child and everybody wants to hug them and kiss them. And sometimes as parents, we might say, come on, you better go kiss your grandma, or we make them feel like if they have to, and if they won't, they'll get in trouble. So that's why it's very important to say, if my child decides not to give his grandmother a kiss, that's okay. That's okay. And everybody in the world can be mad at me as a mom, and that's okay, because I'm here to protect my child. Not that this person would do anything to them, but if they ever face that in their lives, they'll know that they have the right to say no, and that their parent will be there to understand and not to reprimand them for having saying no. And that's why we say the mouth, because it starts off slowly. Or grooming as, hey Linda, how are you? And they'll give you a hug, and it's that kind of hug that you just kind of don't feel okay with. And we also explain to our parents and to our children to always listen to their little voice, or that little gut feeling that you have. It's usually true. So if you don't want to give a hug, hey, give a high five, say a general hi. They have the right to have options. And that's why the offenders know very well how to manipulate those types of situations and then continue to go forward. Like, well, you gave me a hug last time, or you gave me a kiss last time, but it's not that bad, remember? And slowly go into more types of grooming, hugging, and then it'll start more and more and more and get further. And usually the children and or adults feel very guilty because they've already gone along with it. So, and if they say, well, you don't want your mom to know about this, do you? And definitely that's someone that no one would just come out and say. And they make them feel very guilty, and they use their guilt against them. And in counseling, they're able to work through that and work through what we call triggers. So if they go into a room, let's say like this, and a light happens to be the same kind of light that happened during one of their abuses, they will feel really, really uncomfortable. So we show them how to realize that, hey, they're in a safe place now. They know that they'll be okay, and through counseling, they can work through those triggers.
Well, one of the things that you work in is, the transition from victim to survivor.
Yes, sir.
And so that's part of the counseling. So, what kind of staffing do you have to work with multicultural society, communities in Doña Ana County, to have trained staff that's bilingual, that can understand, the language? How do you go about recruiting that kind of staffing?
Well, we have a 40-hour training, a 40-hour volunteer training that not only do our volunteers have to go through, but our staff as well. It is like a Saturday to Saturday, 2 or 3 full days, and then in the nights as well, like after work. And you will learn slowly on things that you could never imagine, what words can actually trigger someone, how to be more sympathetic, more empathetic when someone's talking to you, and how to go into that role as crisis intervention. That's a 40-hour training, and we get a lot of people that come in, and that's great. That's what we really want. We have, the 24-hour line that has to be staffed and manned by advocates and staff. And sometimes when there's not a lot of people, it's a lot. So when we have maybe 20 people, sometimes with the 20 people that go in don't always come out because they might not be ready for it. So that's why it's a 40-hour training to get to know yourself really, and when you're ready to become a crisis interventionist, and they give you those skills that will not only help you with our agency, but they will help you throughout life. They will help you if you see someone that is not okay. You know how to go into crisis intervention and help them and be that person that they need. You're not showing, like when we give examples to parents on how to handle disclosures, usually they're very upset, which is okay. It's okay to feel those emotions, but them being upset is how they feel, and they're not helping their child, this victim, with how they are feeling. They're only working on how they feel and not helping them with what they feel like. Thank you for telling me. I want you to know this wasn't your fault, and we're going to get someone to help you. They may instead, without them knowing, and it's not their fault because they haven't had this training, say, oh my God, how could I let this happen to you? How could this happen to you? So this person, child and or adult, teenager, feels more guilt Like, I did this to my mom, I did this to my dad, this is why they're crying. So within this training, you learn how to answer the phone, how to go down to the SANE unit, what to do once you're there, how to handle 10 people at a time sometimes, because within our agency at the SANE unit, we allow this person to bring who they feel comfortable with to the SANE exam, because it's a lot to deal with. So if they feel great with 5 people, those 5 people can be there. If they feel okay with nobody there, that's okay. That's why we are there. So we give them these tools on how to be there, how to work with law enforcement, how to work with other agencies. And when we have those clients that are bilingual, or sometimes we've had cases where, I personally have had cases where they are it is such a traumatic experience that they revert back to their first language, so which is usually Spanish, or they won't talk to you, and the only way you can communicate with them is writing them a letter saying, this is what we're going to do, is that okay with you? Again, giving them that option.
What does it take to be, an advocate? What kind of people do you look for? I mean, it seems that you have to have somebody that's very strong mind, of a strong mind, that can handle hearing the details of these cases and be able to not involve themselves emotionally in something like this.
And it's really hard to not, no matter how long you've been there, to not feel that emotional connection with this victim or this family, because you will get those cases that will trigger you to somebody that reminds you of them. And so it's really, you have to remind yourself to put your feelings on the back burner, and we look for anybody and everybody who feels that they could help us. They don't only have to help us with crisis intervention, they can also help us with the prevention education department, go to the health fairs, go to the trainings. If they feel more comfortable in that and that's how they would like to help our agency, that's great. We also have a warm line for kids. It's like the crisis line, but it's more of a warm line. We're really there for them if they want to talk about them having a bad day, a good day, if they were being bullied at school, or if they're being sexually assaulted or physically abused, they're able to call us and we can get them through that. So our advocates are able to be in where they feel comfortable within our agency, and we give them those tools on how to hold on to what you're feeling, and we can debrief after, because a staff member is always there, so an advocate can call, or even another staff member can call and say, hey, this case was really, really bad, can we just talk about it for a little bit, or can you just even stay on the phone with me? Something like that.
I would imagine, it's wonderful that you've expanded,
Yes,
but at the same time, it's kind of sad that you've had to expand because of, the need to
Yes,
be
sir.
there because of the crisis. How is La Piñon funded, and how do you stay on?
Well, one thing that my director always does say is that we are expanding, it may be happening more, but also people are being educated to know what to do. So they want these services within their communities. So she's really good on saying that even if we present and educate one person, that's the only person that comes to our presentation, that's okay, because that one person will reach another person. And we're able to do all of this. We are a nonprofit, so we are funded through grants, through some federal and state and local. And we also do a lot of fundraising. We try our best to do a lot of fundraising with all of everything that we have.
One of the things is, reviewing and doing some research on this, is that one of the services that you offer is not just counseling to the patient, but to the victims, the family members of the victims.
Yes, sir.
Why is that important, and how does that work?
Sometimes we refer to them as secondary victims, because we have our primary victim. Let's say, for example, I was your daughter and I was sexually assaulted. You as a father before this, you didn't have the tools. You had the tools to be a father, and you had gotten your daughter to where she is now, but you didn't know exactly what to do, or maybe what not to say to make them feel guilty in a way, or even your emotions. I get a lot of parents who feel so much guilt for maybe letting their child go out that night, leaving them with this certain person that they even trusted. And there's a lot of guilt that they have. So we have to explain to them that everything that they've done to this point, let's say, for example, they came to the hospital, is everything that they needed to do. and they are there for their child. They're helping them, and they will continue to help them, and along with counseling, because if the client is comfortable, they will do family counseling, but usually they do separate and then later counseling together to just better understand the dynamics of sexual assault and what your family member will be feeling. And this can be a husband, this can be a daughter if their mother was older, their father was older, and then they were sexually assaulted and they know of it, because sometimes they don't even want to tell anybody else. But if they do choose and they have secondary victims that would like counseling, we would be able to help them in that, just to help them understand if they're just having a really bad day that day and you can understand, and it's not let's say you have a toddler and you're just thinking it's the terrible 2s or the terrible 3s, 4 and 5s, or whatever they may think that they would be. It can be that they're just having a bad day. They just walked into a room, heard somebody's voice, or smelled something that triggered them back to that sexual assault. So how to just say, it's okay, we're gonna be okay, let's have a bad day today, but tomorrow we'll have a better day. So just how to understand that as a family.
I mean, in talking about family, you have, in France, what's known as the bystander intervention strategies. Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yes, sir. We have, with our prevention education department, they go into the schools, and you see a lot of this with bullying. If you're there and you see somebody being bullied, just to not always go into that situation, make sure that you're safe and get an adult and get them there so they can stop that situation. Or if we're on a college campus and we see what we think is an okay party, and then you see somebody just kind of by themselves and you see them okay earlier and then they're not okay, and just how to step in and say, can I help you? Are you okay? Or if you see someone going with someone that they don't seem that comfortable, or they don't seem all there, you can always step in and say, hey, are you okay? Or if you get them at the end where, let's say if it was a sexual assault and you find them that they've been sexually assaulted, it's okay to help them. And can I call someone for you? Or knowing that we're out there, you can always call us. Again, we're 24/7, and we can help you take the steps to get to the hospital or just to get this person to safety.
What types of community training does your organization offer for businesses, organizations that are interested in providing education to their staffs?
We have, again, with the prevention education department, they will do anywhere and everywhere. I think we did a big chain of grocery stores recently, and they were able to go and talk about our services, and within our service they talk about the 24-hour crisis line, the SANE, Kid Talk, and then they can also do the main presentation. For example, this one they did sexual harassment, and what is sexual harassment, and what can you do to stop it, or what can you do to not do it, because it's not what you think is sexual harassment, but it's how the person perceives what you are doing to them. So knowing that even though we're adults, we also have boundaries, and how to respect other people's boundaries. We also do how to talk to your children about their private parts, how to handle disclosures, what to do if someone discloses to you, and duty to report. It's not only our responsibility, but it's the law. It's New Mexico law to report a sexual abuse that you may even think is happening, or a domestic abuse, any type of abuse or neglect, to SCI, which is Central statewide central intake, and you can report there. If you can call and we can give you that number, but we will not make the report for you. Again, we will help you make the report by giving you the phone number, and you can go from there.
Now, you have a toll-free number that people can call. It's 888-595-7273.
Yes, sir.
And of course, you can also go to lapiñon.org to get more information. As you look to expand and grow, what are some areas that you might be looking to really be advocates for, to look to grow in?
As an agency?
As an agency, yeah.
We would really like to see more invitations to different agencies or different places. Again, we will go anywhere and everywhere. If you're a parent and you have a child at an elementary, at a middle school, at a high school that you think that you would like them to hear about us, we do parenting presentations, and we can also go into the schools and do presentations there. So not just along with more invitations for our prevention education department, but also for us as advocates, that know that you can call us anytime, day or night, and we will be there. Just having them, everyone know our number and know that we are here to help. And it doesn't have to be a recent sexual assault. Again, like I said earlier, we've had clients that come in and talk about it had happened years ago and they are barely ready to talk about it. Know that we are out there and we can and will help.
Is there a number that you can be contacted in case there's an agency or an organization that wants to receive some of this training?
Yes, sir. We can be contacted at our administrative office, and they can always get a message to me at 575-526-3437.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for coming in. We want to wish you a lot of luck with that, and thank you very much for coming in, and we look forward to having you again.
Thank you, sir.
My guest has been Linda Quintana-Armijo, the Southern Crisis Coordinator for La Piñon Sexual Assault Recovery Services of Southern New Mexico. Thank you very much for tuning in to Fronteras, a Changing America.